Prime Minister's questions happened recently, and Keir Starmer really went after Boris Johnson. So let's take a quick look at the clip, and then we'll talk about it.
That's how he operates. A merely mouthed apology when the cameras roll, a vicious attack on those who tell the truth as soon as the cameras are off. Slander decent people in a private room. Let the slander spread without the backbone to repeat it in public. How can the Prime Minister claim to be a patriot when he deliberately attacks and degrades the institutions of our great country?
That was definitely one of the best performances I've seen from Keir Starmer. He seemed, authoritative. He seemed calm, but he seemed passionate at the same time. And the substance of what he was saying, most importantly of all, was absolutely on the money. He was absolutely correct. And Boris Johnson has totally demeaned the office of Prime Minister. Now, look, Prime Ministers have done terrible things in the past. Our government has not exactly, covered itself in glory over the years, but this is kind of the one of the worst instances of kind of destroying public trust in the essential underlying values of democracy and a free society, and the institutions that are supposed to be there to actually enforce all that. And I think Keir Starmer is proving that, as much as he certainly wouldn't be a perfect Prime Minister, far from it, he would be infinitely better than the guy we've got right now, and infinitely better than pretty much every Conservative politician as well. Very, very few Conservative MPs have properly spoken out against Boris Johnson, and even fewer have genuinely, called for him to resign. Labour is putting forward a motion to try and remove Boris Johnson from office. Who will replace him? Not sure. It remains to be seen. But if the motion's successful, it will obviously require a decent number of Conservative Party MPs growing a spine, growing a backbone, having a bit of moral decency, and getting rid of the guy. Also, there is also the element of there's also the fact that the Tories are obviously very concerned about losing the next election, and their donors will be very worried about what Labour might do in office that might, impact their profits. They might raise their taxes a little bit or something. So there's there's a self-serving reason. There's a self-serving reason to want to get rid of him from the perspective of a Conservative MP, but will it actually happen? I'm not sure. I don't. To be honest, I don't think it will. But there is a chance that the Tories get rid of Johnson now, and then they rebuild their image with a different leader. Rishi Sunak might not be the man for the job anymore, because he was obviously the favourite to become the next Prime Minister. He was actually a very popular politician. He was seen, largely as being very competent, which is not something people think about this government and politicians in general, really. And people thought he was an alright guy as well, and that he wasn't kind of too stuck in his Tory ways with his economic policy as Chancellor. But his credibility and his popularity have just crashed recently. So unclear if it's going to be him. But this whole situation has shown us why we need a Labour government. Now, again, Keir Starmer would not be a perfect Prime Minister, far from it. And at the end of the day, Labour will not solve some of the really important issues that we have in our country if they get into office. They just won't. They have no plans to do it, and they don't have the heart nor the gumption to actually want to carry out some policies that need to be implemented. Public ownership of essential utilities, is obviously a much better idea than some sort of little regulations and little reductions in energy bills and stuff, while those private companies still own the energy companies and the water companies and the railway companies and etc. But Labour, at the very least, have a leader who seems to care about the rule of law somewhat, right? Labour at least have a leader who's honest-ish, right? And of course they have their climate policies are fantastic. I really do think that Labour's climate policies are really good, and they create a lot of jobs, boost the economy as well, help our manufacturing sector get back to a decent state. There is a lot of decent stuff in there, but even if you disregard that, they are not a party that is nearly as institutionally corrupt and full of self-serving, arrogant, conniving liars, like the Conservative Party is. Labour is a political party full of politicians. Of course, it's a bit sleazy, but it's a far cry from the state that the Tories are in. It's a far cry from that. And the standards of what we need in a Prime Minister, what we expect from the Prime Minister, are rapidly declining, getting much, much lower because of Boris Johnson, and it has to stop. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think. If you think that the Tories will get rid of Johnson at some point, do you think they can recover from this for the next election? I personally think they definitely can. But yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. And do you think Keir Starmer would be a good Prime Minister as well? Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.